So when you talk about the components of a basic system for living off the grid, what are the different components?
You have your storage medium, usually batteries. You will have your charging sources, which will be wind, solar, hydro, or some combination of the three. You will have charge controllers for each one of them. Disconnects, something people don't give a lot of thought to, but you want to be able to throw levers or close circuit breakers or open switches and isolate any part of the system from the rest of the system so that you can work on it or change it out. Or if it's misbehaving, you can isolate it and protect the rest of the system from it. You will want circuit breakers. You will want, for wind power, a dump load, so that when the batteries are full, you have an auxiliary place that you can put the energy from the wind turbine. You can't just let the wind turbine spin without a load on it because it'll throw itself to pieces. And as I said before, shorting the leads together is not a particularly good option. So the best thing to do is just have a water heater element or a bank of light bulbs or a space heater or something that when your batteries are full, a charge controller can say, okay, wind turbine power goes over there. In our case, we have a hot water heater element, so it does double duty and actually pre-warms our domestic hot water. And in the winter, it heats our floor, our concrete slab as well. So you always want to have an extra place. Hydro also needs a dump load. Solar does not. Solar, you can just switch off and it doesn't hurt the panels at all. So when your batteries are full, you can just deadhead the solar. Beyond that, you need inverters. Most people will not run their house off DC voltage. It's too expensive to run the fat wire everywhere, the plugs are strange, appliances like a toaster, yeah, you can get them from RV houses, but I like living in a house that is just like a normal house. I like being able to run a coffee machine off 110 volts, and all my tools in my cabinet shop are 240 volt. So they just run on basic normal AC power using inverters, which is the power DC comes out of the batteries at 24 volts, goes through two inverters, and that creates 110 and 220 volt AC power. Now my inverters are cheap. They're not the really fancy so-called true sine wave inverters. They're modified sine wave inverters or modified square wave inverters. So instead of a smooth sine wave, they go up and down in slightly choppy square Aztec pyramids. Generally, nothing cares. Compressors don't like it, air compressors. Refrigerators can sometimes die prematurely from the squared off waves. Microwaves don't like it, and certain digital clocks run 10 minutes fast every day. Nobody knows why. Mid-range electronics, washing machines, microwaves, digital coffee makers, you're better off with things that just have stupid twist dials on them instead of things that have little LED readouts. Because anything with mid-range electronics in it, computers don't care. Computers scrub their own power. They don't care what you put in them. They produce their own square wave power. They're quite happy. But things that have mid-range electronic controls on them, they can sometimes die or just act in really bizarre ways. You can get true sine wave inverters. They're not really true sine wave, but they're less choppy, and they may solve any electrical interference problems you have. They are substantially more expensive and sometimes less robust than the modified sine wave.
So are there any other components to your system?
That's about it. After it comes out of the inverters, it goes into a normal circuit breaker box, and the house and the shop run on normal household power. And if you didn't know this was an off-grid house, you'd never know this was an off-grid house. And that was sort of our goal going in.